Bhakti hoite abe jabe na jagate prema bhakti hoite abe jabe na jagate mene gai jaharo charito mene gai jaharo charito Corona Jindo and Hamadanara Bando Corona Jindo and Hamadanara Bando Logana Blokira Divana Landramopa Blokira Divana Prabhu karo doya ne hamare চৈতন্য প্রভু নিত্যানন্দ শ্রী অদ্বৈত গদাধর শিবসাদে গৌর ভক্তবৃন্দ। গৌর ভক্তবৃন্দ। জয় গৌর ভক্তবৃন্দ। ও হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে হরে। গৌর হরি বল। কৃষ্ণ হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে হরে। হরে কৃষ্ণ হরে কৃষ্ণ हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Oh Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Oh Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Gaura Hare. Gora 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 Hare Jaya Gora 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 Hare Oh Jai Sachinandana Jai Sachinandana Oh Jai Sachinandana Gora Hare Jai Sachinandana Gaura Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya 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 Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya Radha Rama Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya Radha Rama Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Jai Gora Hari Bol Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Jagannath Jai Jagannath Oh Jai Jagannath Jai Jagannath Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Oh Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath. Jai Jagannath Oh Jaya Baladeva Jai Subhadra Oh Jaya Baladeva Jai Subhadra Oh Jai Baladeva Jai Subhadra Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Nitago Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Gopinath Radha Gopinath Radhe Jayo Radha Gopinath Radha Radhe Jagannath Jai Jagannath Ho Jai Baladev Jai Subhadra Jai Jagannath Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Jagannath Oh Jaya Goranita 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 Jaya Goranita Oh Jaya Goranita 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 Panjatata Jayo Panjatata Panjatata Jayo Panjatata Oh Jayo Panjatata Jayo Panjatata Jayo Panjatata Jayo Panjatata Oh Jayo Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
प्रेम से कहो कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासरि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम सुंदर राधा सुंदर गिरि गोवर्धन की जय श्री राधा गोपीनाथ ललिता देवी विशाखा देवी की जय श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महाराज की जय श्री गौर निताय की जय गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जय गंगमाय जमुनमाय की जय भक्ति देवी की जय तुलसी देवी की जय श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय श्री मायापुर धाम की जय श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय श्री राधादेश धाम की जय ट्रांसलेटर सॉल्यूशन की जय नाम संकीर्तन की जय all glory to the all glory to the all glory to the all glory to Shri Guru and Gaura
Bhaktivedanta dasya Gyanam Shanam Sadakaya Shaksurumidam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who has opened my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge, for I was in the darkness of ignorance. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinayani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharani Nirvisesa Shunyatari Panshatyade Shatayini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radhadesh Shri Vasari Gaura Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanshagapatalu Yasha Kripa Sindhu Yaevasha Patitanam Pavanidyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Since we have a lot of our wonderful Russian devotees, maybe Prabhu could translate for the Russian devotees.
Yes.
How shall we do?
So, simultaneously, yes? Okay.
So maybe we
So, we go there, come here. Как лучше, вы сюда или мы к вам?
Yeah. So, dear devotees, it's a Srimad Bhagavatam class, but the temple president asked to talk about Srila Prabhupada. So that's why we don't have the beautiful verses and commentary. So it's very little time, it's just a little more than half an hour. So I was thinking just to go through Srila Prabhupada's life, from the life in preparation to his coming to America. But I don't know in half an hour how we will proceed. And it's all things you already know, but we can meditate together. And if you want to say something at a particular point, you can just say, you can be interactive. So we go back in time on the 31st day of August 1896. And it's a big event in India. We are in Calcutta. It's actually Janmashtami. And India is under the rule of Queen Victoria. And everybody is celebrating the birth of Lord Krishna, Janmashtami, together. Of course, the Bengali and a lot of other Indian and the Muslim and the British. I don't know if I should do simultaneous or I wait for you. Okay. So everybody's fasting, chanting day and night Hare Krishna, glorifying the activities of the Lord. And next day is called Nandulal. It's the day actually the father of Krishna, Nanda Maharaj, is celebrating the birth of his wonderful son. And on that day, so it's the 1st of September of this year, 1896, a little male boy is born. He is born in the suburb of Calcutta, the suburb called Toli-Ganji, in a little mud wall house And because he's born on that day, his uncle called him the uncle, Nandulal. Yeah. But his father Gormorandi and his mother Rajani, they call him Abhay Charan. One with fearless, having taken full shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. So it was at that time it was the tradition in Bengal that when the mother will deliver the child, she will go to the parents' house. That's what Rajani did. She went to that little mud house. It's a 2-room house, and there is a big jackfruit tree over the house. And when we go to Calcutta, the devotees take us to a tour of pilgrimage. We can still see the house where Prabhupada was born. It's very simple, very moving. And it's on the bank of the Adi Ganga. So then they called for an astrologer. And the astrologer is giving a prediction that fills the heart of the parents with joy. They say, your son will become a great exponent of religion. At the age of 70 years old, he will cross the ocean. And he will open 108 temples. So the parents are very happy. Calcutta at that time is the capital of British India. So you remember that Gormorande, Srila Prabhupada's father, is a cloth merchant. And his income is quite moderate. But Prabhupada records they never miss anything. When it's the mango season, the father will bring big boxes of mangoes, and they will eat mangoes all day. He actually works in the shop selling clothes, and at night he closes the shop. And he remembers to put some balls of rice for the mice. And so he makes a deal with the mice so that they won't eat the cloth. And when he comes home, he reads Srimad Bhagavatam, he reads Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, he's chanting japa. And he's actually doing deity worship. He has some small deities of Radhadesh. At the time, Abhay is sharing a room with his little sister, and they can hear the bell ringing for the puja. So from very childhood, Abhay remembers, all these beautiful activities. When he remembers also when he was a little boy, not walking, the family used to take him in a pram with a cousin belonging to the same aristocratic Mulik family. And they couldn't be separated. And the little boy, the little cousin, called Abhay Moti, meaning pearl. So in his childhood, Abhay escaped death at many times. One time he actually caught fire playing with matches, and some men came and to extinguish the fire. And when he was 1 year and a half old, he became very sick with typhoid. Then the family doctor came and said, your son should actually drink chicken broth. And the father said, "Oh, it's impossible. We are strict vegetarian." But the doctor said, "If you don't give Abai some chicken broth, he's going to die." So the father said, "Okay, if my child has to live, he can drink the chicken broth." But when they gave the chicken broth to the child, he started vomiting. Also, there was a plague in the year 1900, and a lot of people died and went away from Calcutta. And at that time, after so much tragedy, so many deaths, an old saintly Baba decided to have a Harinam party and to go door to door. And then they came to the house where little Abai was living. And he was not very tall. He just came to the knees of the adults. And he joined in the chanting of Hare Krishna. And soon after, the plan was finished. So then we go quick, and we could talk for a month about Srila Prabhupada's extraordinary life. He said, "I don't remember a time when I forgot Krishna. I never committed any sinful activities." But then he grew up, under the care of his parents. So the father was a pure Vaishnava. He was very, very kind to Abai. Even a little lenient. Sometimes he had to try to be stronger, but then he would apologize to the little child. He would say, "I'm sorry, I have to chastise you, it's my duty, I'm your father." Even Krishna's father chastised him. "So I'm going to do it, but please don't mind." The mother was so fiery, she had a very fiery nature. So every time Abai wanted something, the father was saying yes. For example, if he wanted puris or kachoris, and mother said, "It's enough." The father would come and would oblige the mother to cook for the child. And in the beginning, Abai didn't want to go to school. So he would say, "I'm sick today." And the father would say, "It's okay, you go tomorrow." But some other pretense was done next day. So the mother, she was stricter. She was hiring a man who took little Abai to school. Then he started to like it. Then he grew up. And his father actually hired a Mridanga player. So Abai could learn how to play Mridanga very nicely. And he said he would practice Mridanga listening to the rain when he was small. And mother was saying, "What's the use of Mridanga?" But the father wanted little Abai to become a pure Vaishnava, to sing for Radha Krishna. Actually, when the sadhus were coming to the house, he would feed them. Sometimes they would just come to eat chapati, sometimes they were not very serious. But father would say, "Please bless my son, so he's going to become a pure servant of Srimati Radharani." So time went on. Mother wanted Abai to go to England to learn to be a doctor or a lawyer. like most wealthy or well-to-do Indian people at the time were doing with their progenies. But the father said no. He's going to learn bad habits. And then, at the same time, the movement for independence of Gandhi was raging in India. So Abhay became a follower of Gandhiji. He actually was wearing the clothes we call khadi clothes. And when he was already in university, he graduated from university, an English university, Scottish. But he just like the other young people, he burnt his diploma in protest to the British rule. And there was an interesting event. Abhay had met somehow other, a very nice young Vaishnavi from a very nice family. It was age to be married, like this is a tradition in Indian families. So she had all qualities. She was very beautiful. She knew how to play music, and she didn't have any defect. But father kept in mind that he wanted his son to become a pure devotee. And it can seem a little harsh, but it was justified when we see what Prabhupada accomplished later. They were invited to the young girl family, and although Guru Morandi was a very cultured man, he asked to the father and mother of the young girl, "Is your daughter dancing?" And it was another tradition at that time. Like now we dance, and it's very wonderful to dance for Krishna. But at that culture at that time, if a young girl was dancing, she was considered to be a prostitute. So the family became so shocked, hearing that question, is your daughter dancing? Meaning, is your daughter a prostitute? Then they just got rid of the visitors very quick. And the marriage was, it was no question of marriage anymore. So Abhay got married to somebody chosen by the family. And he got a job in one doctor factory, a friend of his father. But at the time, Abhay was already a leader amongst his friends. So one time, one of his friends tells him there is a very nice sadhu in Calcutta. You should come and see him. You should hear him. And Abhay was not very interested. He said, "I've met so many sadhus in the home of my father. They just come to eat." But the friend was insisting. And then he came, and it was the first time on this roof of the first Gaudiya Math in Calcutta that he met His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he was very, very impressed. He thought that sadhu is really carrying the message of Lord Chaitanya. But then, in his mind, he thought, I have to put a challenge, I have to put a question. So he says, how can we preach the message of Lord Chaitanya now that India is not independent? people will not take us seriously. But his spiritual master told him, actually, there is urgency to spread Krishna consciousness. It cannot wait. It doesn't depend on economical or political or material situation. And then we know how Abai became more and more implicated in the mission of his spiritual master. He took initiation only 10 years later. And one time, the most important, although the first word his spiritual master told him, looking straight at him in the audience, he told him, "You are such a nice, young, educated man. You should just go and preach the message of Lord Chaitanya in the English-speaking country." This instruction, although it was very unusual to receive it at the first meeting, became Srila Prabhupada's life and soul. In the year 36, I think just not even 1 year before Srila Bhaktisiddhanta left the world, he went to, Prabhupada went to visit his spiritual master at Radhakund. We can still see the house. It's a wonderful place. It was the house of Bhaktivinoda. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur received him there with Prabhupada was with his little son Vrindavan Das. And here his spiritual master told him, there is fire in the mat. Everybody, when we had no temple, everything went so nicely, the preaching went so nicely. But now that we have so many temples, everybody's fighting. I want that room, I want this room. So spiritual master said, if I could, I will just break the marble and sell it to print books. And he said, if you ever get money, please print books, print books, print books. And he left the world very, very little after. So again, there was a lifetime in preparation. Srila Prabhupada told us, I could have done it straight away, but I had family, I had children, it would have been unfair. So Krishna made some very wonderful arrangement when time was right. The business went down, it collapsed. So when we have material, terrible things happening, sometimes, most of the times, it's a blessing. And then the very, very famous event, his wife, actually, she couldn't give up the habit of drinking tea. Although Prabhupada told us later that she was a very good wife. And he said, I was a little short-tempered. But one day he came and the pages of the Srimad Bhagavatam were missing, of his Srimad Bhagavatam. And he asked what happened to his wife. And she said, oh, there was no money. I had to actually sell this paper in order to buy some cookies for my tea. So Prabhupada became furious. He could be very, very furious sometimes. And he said, it's enough, now you choose between the tea and me. And ladies, they know. sometimes, especially married ladies, sometimes they are playing, trying to test the limits of the husband. And in a very feminine way, she said, well, I choose the tea. And for us, I always reflect how she's a wonderful devotee to have chosen the tea. because she has chosen the tea. We are very thankful to be a tea drinker. But the next day when she woke up, Srila Prabhupada was gone. And she thought he would come back, but he never came back. And it was very hard. He went to some mat of his godbrothers. He was actually editing articles and writing articles for spiritual magazine. And but he was not always agreeing with the vision of his godbrothers, because he could always remember the instruction of his spiritual master. You should go and preach Krishna consciousness in the English-speaking country. And little by little he got ready. He was in Vrindavan, in Radhadesh temple. He took sannyas. And then he started translating the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. We have some people from Vrindavan, they recall that one of them heard somebody crying at night in the Radhadesh courtyard, just near the samadhi of Gopa Goswami. And it was actually Srila Prabhupada who was begging to be able to do the mission the spiritual master gave him. We already have told the story, but it's such a beautiful story. Just when he got ready, when he got the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam published and printed, he went to pray to the house of Advaita Acharya. And that was told by the pujari of the temple, of the house of Advaita Acharya. The pujari said, even before he got ready to go, that Vaishnav, Grihastha, householder used to come and pray very intensely and crying and chanting and praying. Then he didn't come for many years. And many years after, he saw a Vaishnav sannyasi with the same behavior, praying near the place where Advaita used to meet with Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. And crying and chanting for many hours. And at that time he went to him and he asked, "Dear sannyasi, I know you have been coming for so many years. Can you tell me about your prayers? Wow, are you so intense here?" And that sannyasi told him, "I'm just about to try to fulfill the impossible mission my spiritual master gave me. And I'm about to do it. So I'm coming here because that's here the Sankirtan mission started. It was discussed between Advaita Acharya, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. So then he left. And many years later, that Pujari already old came, and because he heard some wonderful Harinam on the main road, Mayapur. So it's such a wonderful arena. I want to see the singers, the devotees. And he came to meet them, and they had dhoti, shaved head, shika, tilak. But he got so astonished because they had white skin. And he thought of the prophecy of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. One day it will be a wonderful temple, and people will come from all over the world. They will come from America, from England, from Germany, from Russia, from France, from everywhere. And they will meet and chant the Holy Name. And coming to the devotees, they couldn't understand each other. He couldn't speak English, they couldn't speak Bengali. But one devotee handed him a magazine. And he couldn't read, but he looked at the pictures and he had a big shock because he recognized his old friend, the Vaishnava Bengali sannyasi, who came to pray in the house of Advaitacharya. And then he came to this temple to tell the devotees. So, you know how it was, we just 10 minutes, how Prabhupada decided it was time to go. He chose America, because the whole world was looking towards America. The American dream, the American way of life, after the war, having a fridge, a cooker, a shower, plastic, paraphernalia. So he decided to go to America. And something extraordinary happened. He went to give, to take part in a seminar about Bhagavad Gita. So it was a lot of Mayavadi, impersonalist philosopher. And Prabhupada was practically the only Vaishnava. And then at the end, a man came to him. His name was Mr. Hagwal. And he said, please, Swamiji, can you help me? He says, I have a son. He's in America. He has married an American lady. And he's going to forget the ways of Bhagavad Gita. So Srila Prabhupada says, yes, of course I can help you. I'm going to go to America. So that Mr. Agrawal said, I will ask my son to sponsor you. And he wrote a letter to his young son. And when they received the letter, the son and his wife didn't pay much attention, because it was maybe I don't know, the 30th letter. The father was sending, can you sponsor such and such? And nobody came. But they got a surprise of their life, receiving a little blue aerogram, a little blue thin letter that used to be sent overseas. It's called aerogram. And the letter was saying, so I'm very glad to tell you that I'm going to come very soon to your place, to America, to preach, the mission of Lord Chaitanya. So they didn't know what to think. But Sally Agrawal, the American lady, thought I better make people know, because it was a little town, the neighbors were looking at what was happening in each house. So she went to the newspaper, it was Butler Eagle something. And she explained about that an Indian Swami is coming, he's going to speak about love of God. And so everybody will go. And it was actually the first newspaper article about Srila Prabhupada in America.
о том, что Шрила Прабхупада в Америке.
So he went. First, when he came to New York, no, first of course, you know, that he put his foot in America, in Boston. The captain of the ship, sorry, we have to pass so many events, but the captain of the ship told him to come with him on the land. So 5 minutes were enough to figure out the culture of America, I would say the lack of culture. And he wrote that most beautiful poem, praying to Lord Krishna, my dear Lord, why have you brought me here? People are covered by the modes of passion and ignorance. They will never be able to understand your message. But if you brought me here, you must have some purpose. So please, you will be able to make them understand if you wish to. And that's so beautiful. He said, oh my dear Lord, I'm just like a puppet in your hands. So please, my Lord, like a puppet, you know, how do you say, marionette? Yeah. Make me dance, make me dance, make me dance. So the Lord agreed completely. And just in a few minutes, so he came to America. He said when he came first to New York, they asked him how long do you want to stay? He didn't know what to say. So he said 3 months. 3 months. And then he said, I didn't know if I should turn left or right. But then somebody from the ship company and from the Agra family came to take him to Butler. He hardly had any money on him because at that time you couldn't take money out of India. So he came to the family, he was really tolerant. There was meat in the fridge. And Sally, she asked him, is it bothering you? And he says, no, don't think of it, don't think of it. And we saw pictures with the group yesterday in Prabhupada's room. He's with the little daughter of the family. And it's in this picture, she's calling him Swami Jesus. Because in a school, they have some religious schooling. So when she sees Prabhupada, for her, he's Swami Jesus. She was right, yes, for me. Because the child she had pure eyes. Yeah. So no time until he went on. Then he left Butler to go to New York. And it was so hard in the beginning. Srila Prabhupada actually was distributing his own books. He went to the bookstore, and it was so difficult. He said, they don't understand my English, and I don't understand the American accent. And whatever little money he had, he could buy some boga to cook his Shyam. But he told us later on that sometimes there was no money to buy food. And he had pain at night, he couldn't sleep. He had pain in the stomach because of starvation. But, Krishna was working his way. And one day, a young man, it was hippie time, so he had hair, beard, stopped him in the street. It was winter and Srila Prabhupada was just in a dhoti, chada and rubber shoes. And he asked him, the boy asked him, are you coming from India? Srila Prabhupada says, yes, and you? And he said, no, but I've been to India. And that boy was a professor in a very big university, theology and philosophy. He became Ayagriva Prabhu. And he wrote his friend. He was friends with Kirtanananda and Umapati. So at that time also it's a very well-known episode. That one time Srila Prabhupada was sitting on a bench. It was in a place called Verdi Square in New York. And a man was surprised to see him like that. It was snowing, and first Srila Prabhupada never saw any snow. And at the first vision, he thought somebody has painted all the buildings white. And the man came and said, what are you doing here in this country? And he said, you know, actually I have many followers. We have many temples and a lot of opulence. Just a little time is separating. Then that was the beautiful time in 26 2nd Avenue. Mukunda Prabhu helped him to get a place. It was a shop and it has some apartments on top. You can visit when you go to America. When the Harinam tour is going to America. You can visit. And there was the name Much Less Gift. It was actually like a gift shop, decoration shop. So when devotee said, okay, we're going to take that sign out. And Shyam Prabhupada said, no, don't take it out because that's what we have to give a much less gift. And it was, Prabhupada, I mean, he gave Krishna consciousness to these young people who were in the hippie movements. So at that time, the philosophy of that movement was free everything, like free thinking, free love, free everything. No rules and regulations, no rules. And but Srila Prabhupada, so expertly convinced the devotees that Krishna consciousness and its rules and regulations are actually the rules and regulations of freedom. And they can bring real freedom, happiness from the troubles of the mind. So it was very funny in the beginning. Little by little he was telling things. For example, he was telling the devotee, it's nice to shave up. So one day, the two friends of Ayagriva came, and they saw Ayagriva had shaved his head. And still had a big beard. And they said, well, what's happening? Because in the hippie movement, hair was a big thing. Like there was even a musical show called Hair. So he said, oh well, Prabhupada says it's good to shave. But then they came back to the temple the next day And Ayagriva was shed his beard. So they said, what happened? What happened? And he said, well, Prabhupada said, I look like a Muslim. And it was a lot of love from Prabhupada. He was cooking for everybody. He was washing the pots, everything. And the boys were young boys, they were very hungry. He had to cook for each boy 10 to 12 chapatis. And one day they heard that actually it's very good to be initiated, and you have to accept that the spiritual master is as good as God. So they became very disturbed. What does it mean? As good as God, we have to worship Him as God, but He said, we are not God, we are servants of God. And I think Kirtanamanda said, well, we already do it anyway. So they took their initiation. And it's just so many beautiful things that happen. We could talk for 1 month. So I'm going to finish.
Can you say something now about your involvement with Srila Prabhupada? About your involvement, your contact with Srila Prabhupada? 5 minutes at least.
Okay. And then
we don't all know, so.
Okay. But just one last thing, very nice when he came to America. At one point, Tamal Krishna, at the time, Prabhu was Swami, he was not Swami. He brought him the green card to reside in immigration. And he said, Srila Prabhupada, America is waiting for you. Custom is ready, immigration is ready, everything is clear. And Srila Prabhupada immediately began to cry. He showed his softness on that occasion. He said, I'm so indebted to America. America has given me a man, opulence. America has given me so much. And Tamal Krishna Prabhu said, Srila Prabhupada, once you said you were like a cow, going everywhere and giving milk. And then he says, but there is something I don't understand. You never dry up. You always giving. So Srila Prabhupada smiled and he said, yes, I am a Surabhi cow. And like you do, everybody started to laugh. And soon after, but we don't have time to talk about it, but it's like a whole seminar in itself. That's a beautiful part when he fulfilled the mission of his spiritual master, book printing and book distribution. It's very, very ecstatic. So Prabhuji, okay, just very short. Okay. I came to meet Srila Prabhupada in the winter of 69
Zimой 69-го.
with two of my friends from Paris. We were at school together.
Мы вместе в школе учились.
And it was a time in our life when we became disgusted with the material life.
Да, нам как-то материальная жизнь уже как бы...
And we decided to find a spiritual master. But we didn't know in which tradition.
Не знали, в какой традиции.
And because the intense desire was in the heart,
В сердце.
Lord Krishna sent a devotee
Кришна послал.
who told us to go and meet Srila Prabhupada in
Нам
London.
сказал пойти встретить Шрилу Прабхупаду.
So that was the most wonderful day, a meaningful day in our lives. Like you can imagine being in a temple and all of a sudden seeing Srila Prabhupada. So this first glance is extraordinary. I always remember in the same way that he looked very aristocratic. And I thought, oh, he's the emperor of the world. The emperor of the world. And also he looked so humble. And like the most humble sage in the world. So during that first week of meeting Srila Prabhupada, he convinced us that he was our real spiritual master. So involvement in the movement. In the beginning we used to do everything. Cleaning, washing pots, everything you can imagine. But what we did the most in the place in London Temple was going on Harinam. So we used to go 3 times a day, 3 times a day on Harinam in the morning. 3 times a day. For those of you who know London, it was in Oxford Street every day. In scorching heat, in freezing snow, in heavy rain. So much so that George Harrison got very impressed watching us. He says they go every day in all kinds of conditions. Many times we got arrested by the police. And then he got convinced about the Maha Mantra. If people are going day by day like that, it must be something very wonderful in this mantra. Then I got the causeless mercy to get the service of deity worship with my dearest Yamuna Devi. Although, like everything I said, absolutely no qualification, only opposite. Then Yamuna Devi had to leave to go to the first Harinam, a worldwide Sankirtan tour in India with Srila Prabhupada. And somehow or other, at that time, the desire to preach was becoming stronger and stronger in my heart. Although I never wanted to leave Shri Radhadesh Mishra. Like we remembered the other day, Srila Prabhupada said about Shri Radhadesh, they've cheated you. They didn't come as Murti, but Krishna came himself. So it was very hard to leave Shri Radha Krishna. But we heard at the time that Srila Prabhupada was in Moscow. And it was such a shock for us because we read so many things, we saw movies about the terrible things that happened behind the Iron Curtain. And I remember very clearly being very, very proud of Srila Prabhupada. And thinking he's so brave. He's really Abhaya Charan, fearless at the lotus feet of Krishna. And thinking straight away, it's a country, I will never go. And very, very funny after, something happened with another country. Prabhupada went to Iran. And also I thought, it's a country, I will never go. And he came back, he sent me to Iran. So when Srila Prabhupada came back, also his causeless mercy, he asked me I was called to his room. And we had a funny relationship with Srila Prabhupada. He used to make jokes all the time. And at the time, I definitely didn't want to get married. Because I came to Krishna consciousness for spiritual life. And Prabhupada was making joke because he used to say all the ladies should be married and all boys should be brahmacharis. And then he would ask me, Mandakini, you're not married yet. You didn't find anybody good enough for you. And he was laughing. So I was called in his room and then he asked to come here. And he asked in a very simple way, Mandakini, would you like to Moscow and to marry this boy, Anatoly? And by the grace of Lord Chaitanya, you assist the mission. And I've been praying to Krishna, to the deities, for Prabhupada to ask something a little difficult. But I've been praying that please Krishna, help me to remember to say yes. And then I remembered my prayers. And I told him, yes, Srila Prabhupada. And that was the beginning of a beautiful saga. It's a wonderful adventure. So I met that wonderful devotee who became Ananta Shanti Prabhu. And I tried to help as much as I could, teaching him everything I know about Krishna consciousness. Maybe not much. And it was such an extraordinary service. Because the Russian people, at the time and still now, they were so eager for spiritual life. They were ready to give up their life, to give up their health, freedom, just for Krishna consciousness. So I felt really in love with all these people. And I wanted to serve. So that has been part of my involvement.
Может, это частично так, как
But since I couldn't get the residential permit,
но постоянное жительство я не могла получить.
Prabhupada at one point told me not to go anymore. He said there is some risk and it's uncertain in Russia, and Europe is certain. So he gave me the instruction not to go anymore because probably of danger. But then, you know, I was so attached to that mission. And I remember it was at Bhaktivedanta Mother, and I told him, oh, Srila Prabhupada, can I try one more time? And Srila Prabhupada knew I wouldn't get my residential permit, but he was so kind. And he says, of course you can try one more time. But I didn't get my permit. And it became clear during the last visit that it was wiser not to go anymore. So after involvement was book distribution in different countries, Ramana, deity worship, a lot of cooking for the devotees and deities, and some preaching program we had in England called the Folk Program, Friends of Lord Krishna. We used to visit people in their home and encourage them in their spiritual life. And everything. So it's longer.
А много лет вы не ездили в Россию потом?
Since then, you said you didn't go to Moscow after that time. So,
for many years.
So that period was long. After what time? After how many years again?
I stopped going to Moscow in 77. And I went back to Moscow in 2011. And it was so special. It's like, actually it's some very dear young friend, Mukunda Murari. He was the temple president in Moscow. At that time, he's the one who is doing the Bhakti school and the Bhakti Vidyana also. And he decided to make a big festival to invite all the old devotees from that time of KGB. And they found me and they wrote. And at that time I was working in the world to maintain the family. And I thought, oh no, I cannot go back to Russia. I have to become more pure. Because working in the world, of course we try to keep as pure as we can, but we become contaminated by close association. And so I told them, no, I can't come, it's too early, blah, blah, blah. And they kept back to India, sorry. Krishna Prabhu was writing. And then I thought, well, it must be Prabhupada encouraging. And I said yes. So I took God's sister with me, not to have alone like that very big thing. And my dear brother Shyam was there. And we became, it was the best festival of our lives. And to see these veterans, they were so humble. Yeah, I don't know anybody, you have been, no? To that festival? You have been. Yeah, do you remember? when they came on the stage, they were just telling their stories, you know, I remember. And she was there, and I just couldn't believe it, you know. And I was, so when I was with them, I was saying, I just wish you're so lucky, I wish I could have been with you in the jail, you know, and to give you support, and so it's like, you know, for them it was nothing, it was completely normal, but they gave up their health, their mental health also. So I always remember, I said it already, but first time I met in Paris a few years ago, Chant and Prabhu, we talked about these first devotees for hours, because I thought some of them are not practicing anymore, some of them went to different mats. And that what they did is completely unique. Like, so Chant I always remember he said they were extraordinary people doing extraordinary things at an extraordinary time. But he said when they are put in an ordinary time, they don't know how to act. You know? So always when we meet them, always to serve them, to honor them, to tell our gratitude, because it's because of them we can practice freely. And that time, actually, that was Ananta Shanti Prabhu who told, he always used to say, he was very unusual. So he always used to say, I will come, but he will never come. And he told Bhakti Vigan, you just invite Mandakini, she will speak for you. So I went to see him one time, but it was very, very short because it's very unusual. And because on the phone he says, yes, we have to meet, and you should dress like this and like that. But I went one time, one of his students came to take me, but his mother was dying. So he said, oh no, it's not the right time. I got frightened, I just ran away. And that's such a great devotee. He was really unusual, and when he came back from the psychiatric hospital, he couldn't find his place in the movement. Of course, probably all these heavy, terrible drugs might have affected a little bit his brain. But he couldn't find his place, you know, like our leaders were not as mature psychologically as they are now, at the time. And then he was not really in the movement, but before leaving his body, he became close again to the devotees. So from that time on, that first visit revived my love for the Russian devotees. and I thought that if I'm not pure enough, never mind, I'll try to become pure on the way. And then that was Ikanga from Moscow. She was, every time we met in India, she said, come, and come back. And after some time, I agreed, and it started like that. It's my greatest joy.
Поэтому сейчас это, конечно, моя величайшая радость.
Actually, everybody should go to see the mood.
Можете отправиться, посмотреть настроение.
You can always see the mood of the
Даже
Harinam too.
можно увидеть настроение.
Maybe next year, if the Harinam tour is going on, maybe we can come. You can ask me maybe to Belgium to do Harinam.
Да, может, в следующий год время мы уже сделаем здесь тоже побольше сделаем Харина, правда?
We'll see what
Посмотрим, что как Кришна организует.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Always wish you contact.